Hey believers. Welcome back to another episode, another vlog. I'm doing another review because you guys liked it a lot, even though you didn't leave me in the comments. I want you to leave me comments more often. I watched Outside the Wire, and I did have some thoughts about it. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and tell me what kind of content you guys want to see. Let's just dive right in. Now, my other review of Bridgerton was a little bit different because I guess it's not going to be that different. So what's happening is I'm basically watching watching the videos, watching the movies, watching the series, whatever the case may be. And I'm just kind of giving like my first impressions of it. So it's not really a review, but it's definitely a reaction. And so Outside the Wire, starring Anthony Mackie and, am I saying his name right? Damson Idris. Again, I want this on the screen. Overall, but initial reaction, just finished watching the movie, I'm just like, oh, this guy took notes. I was like, oh, this is like really good. I genuinely enjoyed it. Now, first impressions, I'm gonna try not to give, it's a review, so I guess, again, spoilers are inevitable. But initial reactions, I honestly did not look at the trailer or the preview for what the movie was about. So I honestly didn't know really what was happening. I knew Anthony Mackie was in it, and I was like, I'm down. So let's read like a brief, the little blurb about the movie. It says, in the near future, a drone pilot sent into a war zone finds himself paired up with a top secret android officer on a mission to stop a nuclear attack. Okay? So sounds interesting enough, I guess. And so initial reactions, as things were happening, so the movie opens up and basically you find out that the United States is serving as peacekeepers in the Eastern European area. And already for me, that's triggering because don't get me wrong, I love a good war movie, I love a good action flick. I'm down for it. But as I've gotten older, especially becoming more aware with what's actually going on in society and in the world, I know that some of these Hollywood movies can come off as a little bit propaganda-ish, pro-US. And again, I have family in the military. I almost said God save the Queen, long live the Queen. I don't know where that came from. So probably still got Bridgerton on the brain. But yeah, I'm definitely for people who want to make the world a better place and that think that the military is the way to do it. I know the military has helped a lot of people, and we do good things in different parts of the world. Nobody's perfect. No systems are perfect. The American military system has a lot of issues. They do well, they do good, they do bad. It's just the nature of humanity and the nature of the world. But as I've gotten older, I've become more aware that a lot of these movies are to desensitize us to the realities of war, which is interesting because the movie really does address some of these problems that I have in terms of, or in that a lot of people have about just terms of what the United States actually does, what the United States military actually does, how helpful it is, how harmful it is, right? That was the first thing. And so basically you have this rookie drone, they call him a drone pilot. And so this rookie drone pilot who is stationed in Nebraska, so he is operating drones in Eastern Europe, but he has never himself actually seen a war zone, isn't necessarily aware of what's going on in the war zones outside of what he's told and what he sees on his drone's camera, right? And so this is also very important, very integral to the plot because homeboy makes a call and he decides that he sees threat where his drone is supposed to be keeping safe, and there are 40 men on the ground. 2 men are in the way, 38 are in danger. Two men are down, 38 are in danger. So there's 40 men altogether. And he's like, okay, well, they're about to open fire on y'all and kill all y'all. So I'm going to kill 2 of you and save 38 of you. And his commanding officer was like, no, they're going to go try to save him. And he's like, no, they're about to kill all y'all. And it sucks that these 2 people are going to die, but at least I'll save more of these people, killing fewer of these people. And so like that was kind of his attitude about it. And he stood by his decision. He gets reprimanded for it, obviously. And it's honestly, this is one of those things that is interesting to me because this is like a recurring theme, I think, in action movies, this idea that you kill a few to save the many. I actually watched Time a few weeks ago, and it had a similar kind of idea, but it was like flipped. It was, it was a commentary on capitalism, and it was this idea that few had to die so that many could live forever. And like, obviously the main character is like, nobody should have to die and nobody has to live forever. Maybe I'll do a rant another day about billionaires and hoarding cash, but that's a different, again, it's a different spiel for a different day. But it also comes up in terms of like, again, whose lives matter, and which lives have more value. And the phrase that they kept using, it was like hanging on the light. The phrase, I don't want to write this. The phrase that they kept using was collateral damage, right? And so the drone pilot had made this, what's the word I'm looking for? Executive decision to, let the attack go, kill the 2 as collateral damage to save the 38. And his superior officer was not having it. It was like, oh, we have more time. We would have been able to save all 40. And he's like, well, I made a really good decision because this is just, I saved more people. All of them could have died. And so that was kind of the argument in the beginning. And this is the argument that they make throughout the whole movie, right? So what constitutes collateral damage and how much collateral damage is acceptable? That's one of the points that the movie makes, because so he's reprimanded, and the way he is reprimanded is that he is paired with this what's it called? They call him 4th generation biotech. So basically he's a robot with feelings. He's a robot programmed with human emotions, but he's still a robot. Again, like we've seen this before, AI taking over, because the problem with humanity is humanity. And the AI find this like that's really the recurring thing when we talk about what's it called, artificial intelligence taking over. That's the argument that comes up a lot, right? Is that when something objective looks at the world as a whole, it always realizes that the people are the problem. It's like, in order to save the people, we have to kill the people. That is always the answer. And it's like, and then the thing that always saves humanity is love, right? It's like compassion. It's this understanding that we can learn and we can do better, and that essentially is like the answer in the movie. But it goes through all these different. It keeps asking this question, like what's acceptable collateral damage and all these other things. And I think what's interesting is because you can obviously, I don't know if it's obvious to you, but for me, it's like in terms of like a faith point of view, like a Christian perspective, what's interesting to me is that our whole faith is built around the fact that God puts himself in a human body and then sacrifices himself for the good of all humanity. And so in that very particular scenario, the death of one was for the benefit of billions, right? And so this is a theme that comes across in these movies, this idea of humans trying to reconcile that knowledge, right? And so you have these different instances. The difference being, though, is that as Christians, we acknowledge that God is omniscient and he's all powerful, he's all present, he's all known. We trust that God knows what's best for all people at all times, and he's the only being that knows what's best for all people at all times. And humanity often struggles with this dynamic because we're human and we can only see what's in front of us, and we can try to be as objective as possible, but what often happens is that we only can operate on the knowledge that we have. And so what happens in the movie is that Anthony Mackie's character, basically the robot with feelings, he just again decides that he's gonna sacrifice a few million to save a few billion. And Damon Idris's character is like, nah, fam. Like, we can learn, we can do better, and we don't have to kill this many people in order to learn that lesson. And that's essentially it. I just think it does definitely bring up a lot of questions about, again, humanity, what's right, what's wrong. And like, again, like the rookie goes in, he has a very specific idea of what's right and what's wrong. And this is right and this is wrong. And you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. And then he's going about the movie, he's learning that his black and white view of the world wasn't true. I also think it's interesting that he only went through basic training, right? And he went through basic training, and then he was trained to be a drone pilot. And so it's interesting because he essentially had been killing people this whole time as a drone pilot, but had never actually experienced war. And so part of his reprimand, part of his punishment for going rogue in the beginning of the movie is that he had to experience war for himself firsthand. And you can really, like, I think Damon Idris did a really good job portraying how green he was, like how unknowledgeable he actually was, how he was only book smart, only like book good at being a soldier, and the realities of war really like gave him a new sense of understanding. And hopefully this movie again helps you to ask those questions, just in terms of like being able to see a broader picture, but also understanding humanity at a very on a deeper level. But it was just really interesting to me to see this character. There's one scene in particular where, he doesn't fire his gun for most of the movie. He doesn't really start firing his gun until like the middle of the movie, right? And the first time he shoots his gun, he almost shoots civilians. And then after that, he has his first kill, and then he's a soldier now. And so like that's all very interesting. But again, all of this stuff he had only had like a second kind of point of reference before, a second hand point of reference for, and even there's a scene where he visits an orphanage, and the orphanage has like informants, has an informant that's supposed to help them like stop, again, nukes, like that's the big scary thing, like, the world is afraid of a nuclear war, it's always imminent. And like these movies, they like to play off of that fear. Whenever we talk about nukes, they always references to the Cold War. I'm not making fun of it. I'm not necessarily making light of it, but also these movies really talk about it a lot. And so it's just like, trigger warning, if you will. And yeah, he goes to this orphanage and he's like, oh, like, one of the teachers comes up to him. She's like, do you like to see your handiwork? Because these kids were orphaned by the war. They were orphaned by your drones. Like, and if you've ever seen a movie where like there are drones in the movie, usually when they blow stuff up, it's not like a little bullet from the sky. It's like a bomb, and it takes out everything in like a few 100-mile radius sometimes. And so it's not just killing the target, but it's like destroying the area around it. And so, again, this is his first time, Damon Idris' character's first time. I don't know the names of the people in the movie. We have Damon Idris. We have, is it Damon? I hope I'm saying his name right. It's Damson. Woo! Been saying his name wrong. But Damson Idris' character, this is his first time seeing what his handiwork is, right? And so again, like, it's so easy for us to like make these kind of objective, it's so easy for him to make these like objective, like calculated risk, if you will, but he never saw, like, he says at one point in the movie, oh, I'm aware we kill humans, we kill people, but he never had to see people die. He never had to experience loss in that way. He never saw the repercussions of his, drone activity until he was, feet on the ground in the war zone, learning it for himself. And so, yeah, one of the critic reviews that I saw when I was looking up, like, what's it called? The name of the movie, it says, Google the movie is what comes up. Outside the Wire wants to be both an action-packed thriller and a cutting social commentary. Jennifer Green says, Outside the Wire is a fast-paced and suspenseful, futuristic war film with solid acting and a clear ambition to raise provocative questions about the United States' role in the world. I actually the provocative questions about the United States role in the world. I love it. There's a scene like towards the end where Anthony Mackie's character, which is playing the biotech, the robot, he says the United States has to learn that what they're doing is wrong. Like, and I want them to stop it. It's essentially like a little mini speech he gives. And it's like, all right, you can't really get any more specific. Saying very specifically. Like, we have this very interesting kind of duplicitous really view of how the United States interacts with the world at large. And one of those things is that war, and again, in a lot of movies, there's this understanding that somebody profits off of war always, right? The weapons industry, anybody who supplies the weapons, the ammunition for war on both sides, they're making money, and so they profit off of war, right? And then you have this idea that the United States, we're peaceful, we garner peace, and we try to keep the peace, and we go places to help them be peaceful. But it's like, again, how much are we really helping? And and this is not like a harp on military. This is just a genuine question. How much are we really helping? Like, how much of what we know is happening is actually happening? And you have to really ask those questions. And I feel like if you're not asking those questions, are you being a responsible citizen of the world? It's like we need to have answers to these questions, or at least think about these questions, and not try to take everything for face value. And that's something I even teach when I'm talking about the faith. It's like, if you need to know the Bible for yourself, you need to have your own relationship with God. Otherwise, when people tell you things, you're just going to believe. If you believe that for face value, then your faith has no real footing. It has no real weight to it, because you're easily swayed. And so this is just part of like being, again, a healthy human, asking questions and trying to find out the answers to those questions. And I think this movie provides you with a starting point to just ask some questions and try to figure out like what your opinion is about some of these things. And there's really no harm in that. And so, I didn't say this earlier, but I'm Enigma the author, and this is the Highly and Humbly Presents channel. And today we did a Christian Reacts video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you want me to do more videos of these, or if you have a movie or a TV show that you want me to review, put it in the comments below, because I like comments. All right. I want you guys to remember to be great and to stay humble. Until next time. Hey believers, are you looking for faith-based community and curated Christian content? My name is Enigma the author, and I run Highly and Humbly NYC. Highly and Humbly NYC is a Christian lifestyle community that focuses on connecting the Christ you love to the life you live through community, apparel, and so much more. When you visit the Highly and Humbly website, you'll see lifestyle blogs, community forums, interactive Bible trivia, and so much Christian content that's designed to strengthen and encourage the everyday believer. So sign up today for exclusive access, and don't forget to be great and to stay humble.